say a few words. Again, I'm conscious that Naheed was here when I spoke earlier on, so I won't go back over the whole speech, but I might add a few more bits in as well. But again, thank you, Concur. I think the members' interest in putting forward the bill here, and I know it's genuinely that you're interested in the area, and I accept that. But I do also, there's always a tone though as well that again, Deputy Pringle said that we don't want this and we're going to put on the long finger. There's always an assumption by ourselves that we don't want things, even though we have a duty to bring forward proper legislation. And just because you put something in a bill doesn't make it absolutely right either, and it doesn't mean that we it doesn't mean that we also oppose it just for the sake of it either. Genuinely, Minister Humphreys and the Department are committed to reform here. And with respect to you, the process of that change started before your bill, because it started at the back end of 17 and early 18. And Deputy Collins, you're right, I'm sure the bill you produced in July did have an influence on some of the changes that happened in December. No, I'm sure it did. But just to accept that the Minister had started a process here to review this whole area and to make changes. And I think the Department has formed on this, because they brought forward a massive piece of work. I think it was about 10 years of work in the Companies Consolidation Act of 2014. So there is commitment there. I think probably Deputy Billy Keller was probably the Minister at the time when it started and followed through in our Department of Government. So this Department are committed to reform. So this always assumption that they're against reform or against change. It's not always true, and it's not always fair to say that. And there is a process to have to go through, but it's well started, and it's not been long-fingered. It's to bring it forward this year. That is the intention. But it's just always that sense that you might have seen it before, but you didn't see it from this department. They've proven their worth in this respect. So let's just recognise that piece of work, because I know the amount of work that went in to bring forward the changes and consolidation in the other act as well. So again, but I want to be clear, we do not agree on the benefits of cooperatives. I mean, we agree with that. And we've outlined the credit union movement, agriculture, even in housing. They've been doing great work, cooperatives, and I welcome and I look forward to when credit unions are funding housing proposals, which have been allowed for as well with changes in legislation. And the sooner that comes together, the better as well. So we do recognise that. So it is clear that we all recognise the continuing importance of the cooperative movement throughout Ireland. And furthermore, we all share a strong desire to modernise legislation that underpins the continued sustainability and success of the cooperative model. We digress only on how best to achieve these aims, and of course that's part of the work we'll have to do, and we'll tease through that in the months ahead. But again, the Minister is very clear. She'd like to work with you on this in the months ahead, and has asked for that cooperation as well. The proposed bill may be well intended, but it cannot be supported by Minister Humphreys in its current form for the reasons that I outlined in my opening speech. The Minister would like to provide the introduction of more piecemeal and fragmented legislation in this important area. She is also concerned about the introduction of measures that would reduce transparency and could result in unintended consequences that may actually have negative impacts for the cooperative movement that we all want to support. And that we do already have a strong cooperative movement in this country. You'd think with some of the speeches that we don't. We actually do, with some great results. For these reasons, the Minister considers that a more appropriate course of action is to consolidate into one statute all existing industrial and provident societies legislation, and to modernise it to eliminate outdated provisions and align it with the realities of the 21st century business and regulatory environment. This will ensure a level playing field between cooperatives and the other legal options for structuring enterprise activities, and provide a conducive framework for the full potential of the cooperative model to be realised. And again, Deputy Keller referenced that level playing field, and it's important that we have that as well. In relation to the question of why is it taking so long, and it's been asked, why will it take so long to have a review to modernise this whole area? Again, recognising the continued importance of the cooperative movement throughout Ireland, particularly to local and rural communities, with more than 200,000 companies. And Deputy Collins, I think you said yourself that there was over 234,000 companies, but there's well over 200,000 companies registered in Ireland. The focus of the Department in recent years had been and has been to consolidate, to reform and to modernise the companies legislation, to get that piece right. And it was a major contributing factor to continued investment and new start-ups as well during the years where we needed new jobs and needed massive new jobs. And this Department has formed in producing legislation and the action plans to give us all those extra jobs and facilitate that as well. So that was the focus at that time. The significant undertaking, the largest substantive piece of legislation in the state's history, has been completed successfully, and the new legislation now forms the basis of Ireland's business regulatory environment. The Companies Act 2014 was then followed by the transposition of a number of EU directives, including the European Union Directive 2006/43/EC, as amended by Directive 2014/56/EU, and the Regulation No. 537/2014, Regulation 2016, the Companies Accounting Act 2017, and the Companies Statutory Audits Act 2018 as well. So there's been a lot happening in this space, a lot of change as well. And there was legislation brought forward in 2014, the Friendly Societies, Industrial Provident Societies, Miscellaneous Provisions Act, which came into effect in 2014, was also aimed primarily at easing the regulatory burden on cooperative societies. It has addressed particular problems that were identified in the cooperative sector and has helped to ensure this model thrives and grows. Two more quick points here I want to make, which is important. Deputy Pringle and others raised, again, Minister Humphreys wants to make sure that when she has this review now, that we take on board all the views that are out there. We had the public consultation, there are reviews, and the review is on the way as well. But it's important we take on board all the views, because they differ to some of the views you're putting forward here today. And Deputy Pringle and Deputy Kelleher, there was one quick point, sorry, can call it, we're all here late this evening, but we still are under time for this, put forward and mentioned, referenced the Irish Cooperative Organisation, the ICOS. But it's interesting, they made a submission to the Minister Humphreys as late of yesterday with some thoughts and some observations on your bill. And they were very clear that they favour retaining the 7-member minimum, because they believe and they're concerned that a lower amount may bring visibility and sustainability into question. So it's been put forward today here that there's just gospel to lower it. It's not gospel from the sector themselves. So that's important we do have proper consultation and tease this through as well. They also emphasise the importance of annual returns for transparency principle in cooperatives. I referenced that earlier on in my first speech, that it's important that we keep that transparency there. And they prefer the audit exemption in primary legislation rather than by ministerial order as well. And so again, there is other views out there, and I just have an issue sometimes you put forward as if everything you say is right. Well, our job as a department is to tease it through and get everyone's views, and to bring forward legislation that we all can be proud of as well.